Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and this amazing video. I'm Aditya. In this video, we are going to do an exciting thing, which is creating a document editor using Laravel, Vue 3 and TipTap. So TipTap is a Vue 3 library, or you can also get it in Vue, and I guess it's also for React, where you could just have the editor in your app. So what we will be doing is importing a Word file, editing it in our app with our editor, and you can also consider this as an extension if you would like to for a Google Doc clone, and also you could consider this for something like, say, if you want to save the file back again after you edit it. So I was inspired for this project by one of my friends, so I would like to thank the friend for inspiring me to do this project. So let's get started and let's see how we could do it. So without any further ado, let's begin. So here we have the app folder. So first of all, I have a freshly installed Laravel project. So I have, to save time, I have already installed it. And it's nothing, just like composer, create project, Laravel, and the name of the project. So here I have actually made two small changes in this project. These are optional, but I'll explain you why I have made it. Of course, you can have a different solution for this. So whenever we write a script file or a CSS file, when you load it in your Blade file or in any of your HTML or wherever, it gets cached in the browser. If you have, like, say, script tag src as js / app.js, something like that, it gets cached in the browser. And whenever you change that file, it doesn't, like, the new changes are not updated because the browser will only throw back the cached file. So in that case, what we do is, or what solution I have found it is, we in the helper have created an add version function. So this function just adds a timestamp as a query parameter, making each URL of that script unique. So this is an optional step. If you don't want to do it again, that's fine. And to use this function in my Blade file, I have to just add it in my composer.json in the autoload files function. So here I just have to add it so that whenever I use it, I can use it in my Blade file without declaring it. And to make it work, I have to write composer dump, if I remember this correctly, autoload. If it's dump autoload or autoload dump autoload dump, yeah, dump autoload, yeah. So we just dump it and autoload it, and then we can use this file's features, or rather the function, straight away in our project. Okay, now let's go step by step with installation. So first we will be using the TipTap. We'll be using the PHP Office, PHP Word, exciting and very interesting library. I'll tell you why we are using it, and Tailwind just for styling. So let's grab the CDN of Tailwind. So because I'm not going to use the npm and all those stuffs, I just need minimal Tailwind. So CDN, here it is. So we'll just grab it as it is, go to our welcome. So where is our welcome.blade? In resources, views, welcome.blade.php. Just remove this styling, paste it here, and we don't need this bunch of files, as bunch of details as well. So we just need a plain Laravel app. Okay, so once we have this, let's take it as doc editor. Yeah, now we want to install Vue in this. Okay, so this, you could have Vue installed in your Laravel project. So you have one source, you could say like a one source project or one source code, something like that. Or you could have API developed for this, and then you could have your separate Vue project. The logic remains the same for the Vue side and also for the Laravel side. It doesn't matter. It only matters how you want to do it, whether you want to render the view inside Laravel or whether you want to have it separately on a separate project, with mostly like with Vue CLI or something like that. Why we are using Laravel here is, so let's see quickly. When you want to edit a Word file in a browser, you have to convert that Word file into HTML. And when you want to save that HTML file into a Word file, you have to convert that HTML back to the Word. So in that case, what we are doing here is, because even if you see Google Doc, if you try to inspect the editor, the white page, you will see it's nothing but some HTML elements going here and there. So these things, so the Word file, we have to first convert it into an HTML to render it in our editor, and then we can edit it. And that importing of file converting it to HTML, converting back to Word if required, all that stuff, we need a server-side logic for that. And that's why we are using Laravel, because it makes our life easy in that case. So let's start with so I'll be creating the Vue project inside my Laravel directory only. So let's go and create in the package.json we need Vue. So let's install Vue. So I'm going to say npm install @Vue @next. If I am typing, I guess this is Vue @next, not @Vue. Let's quickly see. I guess it's okay. Let's see. Vue 3. So Vue 3 installation, get started. I guess it's Vue @Vue @3. No, it's Vue @next. That's correct. So let's go here. Vue @next, install, let it install. And as it is installing, let's go back in our project here. Here we will do a small changes in our webpack.mix.js. So now to compile a Vue project inside Laravel, you need this Laravel mix. This makes sure that all your Vue code is compiled and ready for blade rendering. Okay, so what is this doing here is it is taking, so we are including a mix from Laravel mix, so it's just a variable. And here we are saying that on this mix we are having a JS function, which is JavaScript compiling, you could say, or bundling. And here we are passing the source. So here is our app.js inside resources JS app.js, and we want the compiled file or the output. So let's save this, we'll need this as well. And we want the compiled file or the output in our public JS folder. So this file app.js will be saved there as public/JS inside this JS folder as app.js. Okay, so now to make it work for Vue, what we need to do is we need to add a function here, Vue, like this. Okay, once, so we don't need this as well, we can remove it. And let's go back again and let's see what do we get. So we have installed Vue. Now if I run npm run watch, let's see. So npm run watch, make sure that whenever we make changes in our app.js or any JavaScript, or sorry, in the Vue file actually most precisely, and also in JavaScript file in resources, it will automatically reload that well, it will automatically compile behind the scene, and we are happy, sorry, not happy, we are ready to use the new compiled files. So this is what npm run watch is doing. Now if you see, it is asking me to install, or it has already installed certain dependencies for me. So let's run npm run mix again. Npm run mix. So if we go back again, oh sorry, npm run watch, not mix. We want to run mix, and I'll tell you where is that mix coming from. So that mix, if I go to package.json, we have a command here, watch. So this is what this is doing. So npm run watch means keep watching behind the scene. It's saying that mix, keep watching behind the scene so you can compile it. So it is giving us bunch of error. So let's see what are those errors. It is saying that webpack is not there, that is not there, this is not there. Okay, no worries. So let's go back here in package.json and let's install. Okay, so this should have went into the dependencies. Okay, so what we will do, let's do like this, npm install Vue loader, and enter, and then let's install back again, npm install Vue loader. So we have Vue loader. Oh yes, we need a latest version of Vue loader. So let's do npm uninstall Vue loader again. And this time we need a latest version, so we need to do npm install Vue loader @next. So this will give us the latest version. And now if we run npm run watch, so hopefully this time it should work. Let's see. Taking a bit of time. Yeah, there it is, and it works. Why it worked this time? Because the Vue loader version for Vue 3, we need to make sure we are using the latest version, so it will work properly. So now let's get going with our app.js. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to write import create app from from view. Then after we import create app, I want to do okay, we will also need Axios. We will get back to that later. But here I want to say const app equal to create app and the app component. Now we haven't created the app component, so let's quickly create that. So inside JS file, I'm going to write new folder, and inside here I'm going to write components. And inside these components, I'm going to create a new file, app.view. Here, I'm going to create a simple template just for start. And here I'm going to say this is app component. Oops. And let's save this. Let's go back here and we can then import it. So I'm going to say import app from. So we have to import it from components and app.view. Okay. Once we have this, the next thing we need to do is we have to say app.mount, and we want to mount it on an ID which will be app. So this will be mounted on a div of ID app, and that div of ID app will be in our welcome.blade.php. So here I'm going to say div hashtag app. So here we have that ID app, and then we have to include our script. So I'm going to say script src, and here we will use our function that we have written here in the helper. So just to add version, so I'm going to say oops, like this. So because it's a function and it's going to be add version. As we have done composer dump auto loads, we can straight away use it now. So here I'm going to give the name of the file, so js app.js. Okay, now let's go and run the server and let's see how it works. So I'll use this terminal here, php artisan serve. Perfect. So now if we go to our browser, let's reload this page. Add version. Okay, I did something wrong. Let's see what I did wrong. So it says add version. We have HTTP. No, sorry, add version, and okay, I guess in the HTML. Okay, composer.json. Add version.php. Okay, so that's, oh yes, it shouldn't be add version, that's wrong. We should name the function of that here. So this should be this function because we have already auto loaded it, so we have to do js version like this. And now if we go back again to our project, reload it, we get this is app component. Perfect, first step done. All right, so next step is to create separate components. So I'm going to create one component for editor, one component for importing file, and should be okay. So let's go back again over here. Let's go to, okay, this terminal, we can slightly take it down or more so that we have more space for the code. So here I'm going to go to components and I'm going to create a new file, and this time I'm going to call it editor.view. So this will be our editor where we will be writing our editing code. So what I have to do is for a while I'll stop this one and I'm going to say npm install, and I will be installing that TipTap. So I'll go to TipTap editor. I want to see it is for React, Vue 3, Vue 2, Nuxt, Svelte, Alpine. So I'm going to go with the Vue 3 one. So if you're using Livewire, then Alpine one can be handy. But if you're using Vue, then Vue 3 is the great option, or Vue 2 can also be if you're using the Vue 2 version. So as we are going to use Vue 3, or we are using Vue 3, I will be doing this one, Vue 3 one. And then all I have to do is just copy this command, like actually not command, but only this part. So I'll just copy it and paste it in our terminal. And that's it. So it will install the TipTap Vue 3 and starter kit. So next so there is a step-by-step guidance given over here. So all we have to do is create this editor content. Actually we have to import that component. So this editor content is a component coming from TipTap Vue 3, and we pass the editor object or editor instance, and that editor instance we are creating over here. Okay, so as we will be using composition API, we will modify this slightly, but the logic is the same, it doesn't matter. So let's go back to our editor.view, assuming that this is installed. Yes. Let's run npm run what? Sorry. And let's do here template html.view. and let's give editor. So let's wrap that all in editor class. And what we will do here now is, okay, so let's create a script tag. So this will be of the composition API. And here I'm going to import those two lines. So we just can copy as it is actually, because the code is going to remain almost the same. And here we can add it in the components list. So I'm going to say components. And then here we can say editor content. And here we can, so now to use it with composition API, the data properties are as in view options API or view 2, there is data. In composition API, there is ref, two refs, and there is reactive as well. So we will be using the ref one. So I'm going to say import ref from view. And here I'm going to say const editor equal to ref of null. And then here, if you see, we have to do something on mounted over here. So I'll be copying this code as it is. And here we have to also import. So if you want to use mounted on view 3, we have to have the hook from view as on mounted, or the function on mounted. And now inside this, we will say on mounted. And this will be a function which will be taking a function as an argument inside it. So it will be something like this. And then inside that, this is same as our mounted function of view 2. So here I'll paste that code with small stuffs here and there. So this will become, instead of this.editor, it will become editor.value. And rest of the thing remains as it is. And then once we have this, we will just return the editor. And here we will need that editor component. So I'm going to say editor content editor equal to editor. So this editor is getting this editor from here. Then we can have it closed. Like this. Editor content. I'm not sure if the self-closing tag will work, but to be on safer side, we can have it on like a open and closing tag like syntax. So let's save this. Let's remove this. And let's add this component in our app.view. So here I'm gonna write script tag. So I can go with the composition API structure or the options API for app.view. I'm gonna go with the composition API to keep it constant. And here I'm gonna say import editor from, and that's gonna come from components. Oh yeah, it's in the same file actually, editor.view. Oops, view, and this is going to go in our components editor, and then we will simply wrap this in a div. I'm going to say div dot app container. So let's do like div container. Sometimes my kite extension doesn't work, I don't know why. Yeah, there's a div dot container and this one. Not this one. Okay, let's try it again. Div dot container and this one. Yes, that's the correct one. So here I want editor, or I could write editor like this, because this is the view component. So if I'm creating a component, then this is optional as well, it's not compulsory. So I prefer having view components in capital, like as it is, like starting from capital letter, and so it's easy to differentiate them from HTML elements. So let's save this and let's go to our code and let's see what we have so far. So if I refresh this page, we have I'm running TipTap with view, and here is the editor. So now let's add the functionalities of those buttons of bold and all other stuffs. So if you go to TipTap documentation, if we go towards the examples, there are several examples of the editor. So we'll go with the default text editor for simplicity. We'll just stick with the basic one. So there is a view example, there is a React example. We will go with the view example. Now if you see these buttons over here, each button has an on click and it's carrying out a function, or more like, yes, it's a function and it's doing like a chain function. So it is saying like on that editor, so this is the edit, whatever editor we have. So okay, the code is down actually. So on this editor, this editor, if I take the redo button, that bold button is two above and we cannot compare it. So on this editor, chain it and have a focus function on it, and just use the redo function and run it. So when you put a focus, it's more like getting it kind of, it is in a focus kind of thing. So they're saying that you haven't done this kind of functionality, and redo is the function from TipTap and it is just running it. So we have to do this separately for each editor. So what I'm going to do, sorry, for the entire editor, not each editor, but for the entire editor. So what I could do is I can grab all of these functions and put it in a separate component and have this editor passed over there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's grab this as it is. So I'm just gonna grab, say, Control C, or rather, yeah, Control C, and then rest of the things will remain as it is. Nothing to do. Before unmount, we can also destroy it later. We'll get back to that. And inside our code, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new component here, and I'm gonna rename it as editor buttons dot view. Okay, now here I will pass a template, and inside that template I will just paste those all buttons as it is, and that editor I can pass it as a prop. So here I'm going to say prop script, and we can go with a simple script here because there's not any dramatic or like drastic change. So props will be the editor, and we could have the default value as null. Actually not like this, it should be, so type, sorry, like this. So type will be the editor object, so we can say it more like an object, and default value will be null. And then all we have to do is import that in our editor. So editor, let's grab the buttons. So I'm going to say import editor. It's not like this. So I'm doing eager loading of all components. You can also lazy load them, that's fine. So it's coming from the editor buttons, going editor buttons actually, so we are not clashing with the name. So editor buttons going over here as editor buttons, and then we can have those buttons over here, and then we can just pass the prop editor equal to editor, which is nothing but this editor, and then just save it. Okay, so let's see what we are getting so far. So if I reload this, and we have those buttons as we are using Tailwind. So these buttons, they have lost their default styling. So let's try to bold this. So if I click on bold, and here it is, we get the text bold. So let's now style this button one by one. So let's go here in our editor buttons component. And okay, so we have the class, like a lot of classes here. So what I could do is I can just write a class here. Okay, let's do like this. Let's do it in bulk. And what we will do is here, okay, here, not here, here. Oops, sorry for that. And here, and here. There are a lot many years. So here. Okay, why there are so many buttons? So here, not like this. Here, here, and here. I'm gonna say class equal to. So as these are buttons, I should have gone with npm with Tailwind so that I could use the apply directive. In this, I missed this block here, but that's okay. I'll get back to that. So I'm gonna say the button. So I'm gonna give it padding of 4, or maybe 2. Let's say px4 and py2, margin. Okay, we'll give the SpaceX later, and then I want to do border gray 300, then bg gray 100, or let's do 200, and rounded corners. Now if we go back again here, we missed one thing, so it was somewhere here actually. Yeah, I guess it was for code, that code block we missed it. Yeah, here. So we can just copy one of these class and put it in the code block. Yep, it is a bit cumbersome to copy, so let's copy it like this and let's put it here. So let's save and let's get back over here, and we have our buttons. Okay, not that bad, but we just have something to proceed forward. Now what if I want to style this editor? If you see, this thing over here is like taking only this much width. So if I open this and go over here, you will see that it has a class of prose mirror. So I can like modify this by modifying this class. So what I'm gonna do, I will go to editor.view, and here in the script tag, I won't keep that script as scope, not script but style. So I'm not going to keep this style as scoped. Why? Because if I keep it as scoped, it will be only limited with the editor, and it cannot go inside the editor content component, because that prose mirror div is inside this component. So if I don't keep it scoped, it will be, so if I keep it scoped, it will be only applicable to this and not inside this. But if I don't keep it scoped, it can be applied to all the elements. And inside this, I just want to modify the prose mirror. So I'm going to say prose mirror, if I type it correctly. And then now I have to do vanilla CSS because I'm not using Tailwind's npm installation, so I cannot use apply directive. So I will say width of 100%, padding of padding of 10px, and let's give it a height. So I want to give it a height of, let's say 50 view height, maybe. Let's do 70 view height, and I want that overflow to be auto, so that if our document is bigger, we can have the scroll effect on that. And okay, we can also do that for editor. So for actually we will do it like this, the editor class, we will do it like this, editor class. Let's have this height and width on this, actually Control C, Control V, and what we want is, let's do 100%, and this has 100%, and oh sorry, 100%. Remove this from here, save it, and if I go back, so you might hear the voice of tiddling, something like that. It's just Laravel mix notifying me our build is successful. So if I run this back, and if I click on this, okay, so it is still not working. So let's see what's the problem. So here, width 100%, height 100%. Okay, let's give not important so that it doesn't take its own styling. So here, and here, I'm gonna say not important, and should be okay. So if I go back again, refresh. Oh, okay, it's still not okay. Let's see why is it not working. So we have prose mirror. So this is PROSEMIROR. Okay, that's correct. Okay, let's give this a height of 70 view height and try that. 70 view height, and let's see this works. So refresh. Okay, we have to give it in view height. We cannot give it in percentage, so need to remove it from here. Let's give that padding over here, and let's do the width of maybe 90% or 95%, and let's remove this. Okay, let's keep it. Okay, what I'm doing, okay, let's remove this. Let's go back here, let's refresh this, and okay, this is okay. So we have our editor here with all those functionalities. Now next thing we have to do is now we need an import button. That button will allow us to import a file, which would be a Word file, convert it to HTML, put it in the editor, and we can edit it. Okay, let's get started. So what we need here is, let's install PHP Word. So it's pretty easy to install. If I go over here, all I have to do is just copy this part, PHP Office PHP Word. Let's copy that and paste it here. Okay, so we have already this thing running, so we can just use this to install actually. So I have to just copy it again because I use press Control C here. Yes, and we will say composer require, and the thing that we require. So it will install that. Till it installs it, also we will need to install Axios. So let it install this one. Okay, then install npm install Axios. Okay, so Axios is installed. Then next thing we will need is, so we have PHP Office, Axios. Okay, that's all we need for now. If something is required, we can install it. So okay, so let's get back to our editor. Oh no, this editor actually, and let's add an import button here. So I'm gonna do another component, or as it's a buttons actually, we can just add it over there. So because this is all buttons section only, so here I can have a component, or not a component but just a button. So I can say button dot, okay, I have to just copy these things but just change something there. So I'm gonna do button class equal to all those classes, and I'm gonna give it green 200 green, so just to make it say that it's importing file, and we will say import. And if I go back again over here, reload, oh, I'm not running npm run watch, so I have to do that to see the latest changes. I can actually also do browser sync mix, so I don't have to refresh it again and again, but it's just an optional step. So we have import button here, and when we click this, what I want is, we want a import file to show up somewhere. So what I'm gonna do, okay, let's make this bit fancy. Let's make it text white. Okay, text white only. There is no grading in that. Let's make it an 500, and this has also 500. So let's reload. Yeah, this is what we want, and let's give this button some spacing between them. So here I'm going to use class equal to spacing of maybe 2. So we have each button has equivalent spacing between them. So if we go something like this, and then it should be okay. Now let's go to import button back again, and let's write the functionality of import. So I'm going to write here @click equal to import. This function we will write it sooner, so that's not a problem. But what is this going error? Oh, yeah, we need to write the import file. So that would be, because it is treating import as JavaScript import, because whatever you write inside this code is like plain JavaScript. So that's the import button, and let's take a file. So input file. Now, if you have used ref, when I talk about ref, means the ref for getting the file type or file object in view, then that we will use the same principle here. We will use a ref rather than using document.querySelector. So I'll tell you how to do it. So here I'm gonna write file, that's the name of my file, and ref, and I'm gonna take it as file. So that's all we need. And okay, let's do file element, so that's easy to differentiate. So file element, and then let's by default keep it hidden. So if we have clicked this import file button, so in that case, what we could do is, we could say if show file, then we can do show file equal to not show file. so we don't have to write a function for that. So next thing we need to do is go back here and write a script tag. Sorry, not the script tag, the setup function. So setup after this, and we will need now to import ref from view. Then now if I want to target the element ref, then this name here and the variable name I give over here, which is file element, they should match. Then we can get the HTML element of this. So if this was view2, you do generally like this dot $ref and then those other stuffs. But here we do it in a different way in view3. We just put that ref name over here, same as the variable name, and by default we give it a value of null. And then I have to just return this as like this, so file element. Also, we need to have this, so this one will act as a variable. So I'm going to take it as a variable. So I'm going to say show file equal to ref of false, because by default we are going to hide it. And now let's try to, okay, we need to also return this. So show file, and now let's see how it works. So if I go back again over here and import, so we get this. If we do again, okay, so we just need to now choose file, and once we choose file, we just have to import it. So what I'm going to do now, did I install Axios? I think so. Oh, that's too much of compiling. The best way to do is just find in package.json actually. So let's go in package.json and see if I have installed Axios. Yeah, there it is. So let's go back again over here and let's do import Axios from Axios. And then all we have to do here is, once we change this, so I want to say @change, so which is beyond change. So when the file is changed, we want to import that file. So I'm going to say start import function. And that start import function will come over here. So I'm going to say start import function. And then all I have to do here is write function start import, and this function will do our import process. So let's do a quick check what this console.log is doing for file. So if I say file element.value, now this will give me this HTML element. So let's go back over here. So I have already created a Google Doc file and I have downloaded it. So I will be just using that. So you can also use any MS Word file as well. It doesn't matter. So let's refresh this. Let's choose a file from downloads. Let's take this and let's go in our console to see what we get. So here we have input type file. So this is the HTML element we got in that file element from this ref. Now from this file element, we want the value of files and we want the 0th value of it. So this will give us the actual file value. We are not using vmodel on this because vmodel won't work on input type file. We have to do it something like this. Okay, so let's go back over here. Let's refresh it and let's remove it, import it again. Let's import it and we get the file object or the file that we want to import. Now let's send this file back to our server or our backend and ask it to convert to HTML and get the HTML content and then use it to pass it to our editor. Simple. So let's go here and write axios.post. So you could use a web URL or you could use an API URL. So if you're using a web URL, make sure you're doing it in web.php. If you're doing API URL, you do it in api.php. I'll go with the web.php because if I go with api.php, I have to do with the Sanctum and all those stuff. So I have to install Sanctum, give that authentication guard and all those stuffs. I can also make it a public api.php route, so that's fine. But for simplicity and to keep this video short, we will go with web.php. So I'm going to say here start import. So that's the function, that's the route name actually. And this thing is going to take so now when you are passing file behind to your server, you have to convert it into a form data. Why? Because the header says that the content type is multipart form data, and that works only for file. So we have to convert that file or wrap it in a form data and send it to the server. If we send it as it is, the server will throw a null value. Let me show you how. So let's go back here. I'll show you what I mean. And here I'm going to say import file, and this thing will have a value of file element dot value dot files of 0, and header, oops, here will be the headers of Axios. So headers, oh no, I'm doing something wrong. So this will be this headers, because these are options, and we want content. So this should be in quotes. Content type is multi-part form data with hyphen. Multi-part form data. And then what we need to do is, after this, so Axios, if you're new to it, it's an asynchronous request. It gives you a promise. So we have to resolve that promise. So here we are saying after this post request is completed, then you will get a response, and that response will be a function. So we will say console.log response.data. So inside that response, the response is a variable actually, and then this then will take a function. The response is not a function. The response will be the response we get from the server. Sorry for that. With the response we get from the server, this thing is a function, and here it is saying that we are just consoling the data that we are receiving it from the server. So now let's check, or let's first write the server-side logic. So I'm going to go to web.php, copy this URL, start import, put it over here. I'm going to say route post web.php start import, and let's create a controller. So okay, I need to stop and start server. Okay, let's stop this one. So php artisan make controller, and let's give it this a name. So I'm going to name it as file import controller. Let's save it. Let's serve it again, and let's say here file import controller class, and the name of the function we want to target there. Oh, sorry. The name of the function we want to target there is start import. Okay. Now all we have to do is just import this class. So let me put my phone on silent for a moment. Sorry for all those notification beeps if you have heard it. Sorry for that. So we have put it on I have put it on silent, and we are doing here a file import controller with a start import function. So let's go here, and if we should have a file in HTTP controllers, file import controller. Now you could write a separate service file and keep your controller short, but for demonstration, as this video is for demonstration, I will write the code in the file import controller. Okay, so I'm going to write here public function start import. This will take request $request, and all we have to do is, so this is taking request, and here we just have to, like, let's just return this thing. So I'm gonna say return response JSON, and I'm gonna write it as data, so whatever data the server is sending, and let's send this file. So $request, the name of the file. Now let's go back over here in our code. So if I now refresh this, import, let's remove this, choose a file, and see we got data as null. This is because we are sending the content type as multi-part form data, but we are sending it as a normal, like a key value JSON object. So we have to wrap it in a form data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say var, let's take let form data equal to new form data. And then all we have to do here is form data dot append, and inside that I want to append a key as import file, and that will have the value of this thing over here. So I'm just going to grab it and just put it over here. And then instead of passing it like this, I have to just pass the form data. Let's give it a space here and line break, and let's try again. So if I save this, reload, remove this warnings, and let's take this. So we're still getting the null. Okay, let's see what's the problem here. So multi-part form data. Okay, I guess we're having multi-part form data written incorrectly. So let's quickly check if we have typed it correctly. So multi-part form data. Yeah, we have written it correctly, so that's not a problem. Yes, multi-part form data, that's written correctly. So let's see what's the problem here. So we are passing the start import form data. Oh, import file. That's the problem. We just misspelled it and work. So if we go back again, oh no, let's do a quick refresh. And here we have the file, all the file in one go. Okay, so this is the file we have. Do you see it's not null now? So now let's process it forward. So what we are going to do inside file import controller, now I will call the php word load function. It's IO load, input output function, which will load our file and put it in a word file object. So I'm going to say dollar word object, or let's say word file to keep it simple. This will be our word file that we are sending it from the front, and this thing will have the value of IO factory. So this will be IO factory, and this factory will take a function of load, not lead, and here we will pass the file. So this will be request import file, import file, if I can type it correctly here. So I'll tell you where this is coming from. So if I go over here and just type here IO factory, so this one, and let's hit enter. So this is the one. So there is a create writer and there is also load function on this IO factory. So we just want this IO factory load function. So we will just import this class, and we have PHP of it coming. It is coming from PHP Office PHP Word IO factory. Okay. Now we have that file. Now we have to save that file. So I'm going to save it as $word file save. Actually we are missing a step here. Okay, let me see. So basic example, I guess we need to convert it to HTML first and then save it. Yes, we need to convert it to an HTML writer. So this is for Word. Yeah, so we need to create a writer and convert it to an HTML writer. Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna create an HTML writer instance here. So I'm gonna say $HTML, $HTML equal to, now this will come from new HTML, and this will take $word file as an argument. So we want to, actually this is F capital, so we want to create the HTML instance. So I will import this, and this is going to come from the writer, not the reader. So we are writing the file. So we are writing the file here, and that file instance is the word file instance. And then after we write this file to an HTML object, then we can save it. So I'm going to save it as $HTML save, and I'm going to give it a file name as content.html. Now next thing I'm going to do here is, once I get the content of that file, I want to delete that file. So first let's get the content. So content equal to, I can use read file function, which is simple PHP function, and I want to just pass the content.html. Now if you're using Laravel and if you're just passing these file names, Laravel knows that it has to look straight away in the public folder. So these files will be created in this public folders automatically. And after we get the content, I want to just delete that file. So I'm going to call storage delete. So this refers to Laravel's public storage, and then I have to delete the content.html. And let's import this storage class, and then instead of passing the file, we will be passing the $content. Okay, semicolon is missing. Perfect. Now let's go back over here to our code. or not to our browser actually. And now if I just remove this, hit enter, oh sorry, just change the file, oh we have to forgot to refresh, sorry for that, and import, choose file, and then import. So you will see that we are getting bunch of HTML, and this HTML we have to pass it to our editor. So what we are going to do, take this from our editor buttons, and then here when we have the data, I'm going to emit it up. So I'm going to say, so how to use emit here in composition API, we take a array of events over here as a key value pair. So this, in this object we have emit as an array, and this will be on import event. So this you can name it anything you like. I'm just saying it just in the case like as if we are importing it, so on import, so that's why. So to use the emits, first you pass props, and then you pass the destructured emit object, emit function actually. So props is always the first parameter. If I pass it like this, it will throw me an error, so I have to pass it like this. Okay, so after that what we need to do is, here I can say emit, I want to emit on import, and with that emit I want to emit the HTML content. Now this HTML content go to our editor over here, and then we can straight away pass that content to our this editor content. Now how to do that? So if I go back again to TipTap over here, so if I go again to introduction, or mostly installation actually, if we view 3, there you will see there is a piece of code for watching something. So this V model, so it's doing nothing but watching for a value. So in this case, it is watching for a value, and as soon as that value is changed, it is changing the editor's set content. So what we will do, instead of watching for it, we will create it in a function. So what I'm going to do, I will just copy this thing, and here I'm going to say on import. So that's our event name, custom event name, and so we are adding at the rate. We want to set content. So set editor content, let's do that, editor content, and then we can return the function here, set editor content, and then all we have to do here is write function set editor content, and now the value we are emitting, we will catch it here in the function. So I'm just going to take it as a content, and then we can paste the thing over here. And then what we have to do here is, we have to say, if the content is same, then we don't need to change anything. So we will just say it as content over here. If this is same, then return as, like, return, just don't go any further, stop here. And here we need to do editor.value because we are using composition API. Same over here, we have to do editor.value. And here this will be our content. And this should be good to go. So if I save this now, go back over here, refresh the page, import, choose file, untitled document, and here we go. We have our content. So it shows at the end like how much is the length of that file, or how many characters it has taken. So we can erase this. So how to erase that? So let's see. So inside our set content, when we set the content, we can get the, okay, let's see if there is a get content function. There must be a get content function, let's see, or something appropriate of that. So let's see. So let's see, there is set content, there must be get content. So there's set content, clear content, but there's no get content. Okay, get character count, get current value, get okay, so get HTML maybe. So that's the only thing we could get. So okay, so let's see, this is for live wire. So we could also see for view 3. Okay, let's see for this one. So it's just taking us here. Okay, so we can just take the HTML, and then we can just okay, let's see what set content false does, if I remember correctly. So it takes the 2 parameters. It takes the emit update and content string, and parse options. So how we want to parse it. So it takes in the string that we passed. Okay, nothing different. Okay, so in this case, we just need to take the HTML. Okay, let's see what we get in the HTML. So here I can go over here and okay, here I could say okay, console.log this thing. So we will see what's the HTML we are getting or where is that data. So we can get that data and just remove it. So let's remove the HTML from here. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go back over here, refresh. Yeah, now I can do because the mix was taking a bit of time. So import, choose file, untitled document, and this HTML is at the very end. So that is P. So what I could do is I can remove it with string operations. So that's one option. Or other option is I could just remove it on the server side so we don't see this. Okay, so okay, let's do like this. Here I'm gonna okay, so okay, what if I just put a plain content? Let's say if I put, will it still show me that thing? So p hello world, and let's do it like this. P. So I go back again, refresh, import, choose file. Okay, so we can splice that. So we will just go over here, put the content, or rather before putting the content, okay, let's see what's inside the console.log content. And if we go here, before putting only, we can just remove it. So content. Okay, so this data is at the very end. So this we could do, like this would be easy for us to modify then. So of that HTML, there is at the very end, there is data property. So we have to just find for something bracket data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write here content dot okay, so let's find the index first. So index, so let index equal to content dot index of we are looking for this data. Is it like that? Yeah, data in quotes. So let's put it like this. So we are looking for data, this thing, and when you get this, that's our index. And then what we have to do is content dot splice. So it starts with the where we want to start, so index, and we want to splice it till the end. So we have to splice it somewhere. So there will be yeah, let's do it till -1. Okay, so let's give it a try and let's refresh. Let's see how it works. So untitled document. Okay, it says splice is not a function. Oh, okay. I guess I can remove string like this, or do I need to do substring? Okay, let's see. No, this is for array, I guess, but string can be treated as, no, not like that. So let's see substring. So if substring, yes, so substring index, comma, -1. Let's see this one. So let's just put it here like this, and let's see what we get. So content, wait, so if we do this, it will just show me the content. So I have to do in 0 till index -1. So let's see, refresh. I guess this won't work, but let's see. Okay, it worked. That's great. So we got all our content. That's interesting. So let's quickly double check with the document. So if I open the document, let me open it over here. So we have this, but it's not getting the styling. So oops, sorry for this. So barrier tour and barrier tour. Okay, so it's not getting the styling of that bold. So we'll see. So the bold styling are missing, and oh, it's mostly because of the tailwind. So if we remove the tailwind and then try to give it a try, so if I go back again over here and let's try to remove the tailwind. So if I comment this out, let's see if it works without tailwind. So if I refresh this, okay, I need to remove this, import, choose file, title document, and it works. So if you use tailwind, it kind of takes off your styling, but if you don't use tailwind, it preserves the styling. So there are pros of cons of using tailwind here. So it's totally up to you. Like you can have this editor. So what we could do is, yeah, we can just figure out a way to just avoid the tailwind styling for this. But for other things, you can still use tailwind. So that's all for me for this video. Hope you liked it and hope you enjoyed this video. So also let's try to edit some bits here before we go. So let's make them paragraph. Let's make them code. Let's make them bold. Let's make them italic. Okay, once we make code, we cannot make them bold or italic. Okay, let's make them bold, this one. And let's make them italic. Let's make them stripe. Let's make them, what else? Let's do code block. Okay, nice. So this is how you can have editor. You can also add extra functionalities with TipTap. Like there are several functionalities over here. So if I go to TipTap 2, documentation, and then there are several functionalities, so you could add those as well. So hope you like this video. Hope you enjoy this. Thank you for staying till the end. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you feel this video is worth sharing with your network, feel free to share with your network. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. And till the next time, goodbye.